Greetings, Dennis Daniels here. I wanted to share with you some more about processing, specifically processing.js, processingjs.org. This is a tutorial that Casey Reyes and Ben Fry wrote some time ago, and I wanted to share it with you. You can see that it's running, and what I want to do is kind of explain parts of it to you. Oh, right, sorry. And the part I want to explain to you is right here. Now, I've modified the code a little bit, and let's just shut down some of this unnecessary stuff because it's causing Chrome to slow down a little bit. Alright, now here's our sketch, and the computer is running a little slow because I'm recording, obviously. But let's take a look at some of the code, and since I can edit this, which I've already done, I've already loaded it in the editor. I'll go ahead and stop. And so the integer, all examples written. Now let's talk about some of the things, some of the ways we can improve this, because that's one of the first things you should start to look at as code, is how you can take the existing code and modify it. So ideas, put eyes on the snake. That's just one basic idea. Now you'll see what I mean by the snake as I move it around. Although it's not very fluid right now, you could very well have eyes there if you wanted. Or you could actually make this into 3D. Put it into 3D. Now, that would be cool. So let's take a look at this. So the integer number, the integer is declared number, and that variable has a value of 100. I can't get the cursor to show up here very dependently. So set integer variable to 100. Now, of course, you can modify this. That's another idea. Unfortunately, truth be told, processing doesn't handle user input very well. I've found very few examples of text or sliders or user input. So one of the things you could set here, or an idea, is user modified variable prompt. There we go. Prompt user for modified variables. For example, this one. So I'm going to modify this to see what we can do. If I change this to, say, 10, what happens? So click stop, and click run. Now something should happen. The size of our little snake becomes very low. Now you will notice that the background is changing. I changed that earlier to the background is mouse Y. Now I could, but let's focus on this. This is going to this variable also, I can't see the cursor, sets size of circle. Right, so if we go take a look at the ellipse, actually that's what it is, it's an ellipse. The cursor keeps going to the front of the line. That's very annoying. The ellipse, the cursor should be much brighter. Okay, so size, that's the size of the window. See that? Cursor insists on going to the front of the line. I don't want it there. So we have to hit the end key. So this is size of window. You should know this, or if you haven't figured it out. Smooth, no stroke, void draw. Now this should only be called once, if I understand correctly. Called once in Sketch. This is what makes your sketches dynamic. they get updated all the time. Background reads through the entry and reads through the entire array now, and shifts the values to the left. Okay, for int, integer I equals 1. I is the number. All right, so this variable has already been set here. So this variable num is this num here. mx I minus 1. No. Okay, here's where mx is declared in the variables right up here. So the variables are all declared at the opening part of the program. Right there. And these are declared as floats. Now we should take a look at what float means. Float is anything. Float is darn it, the cursor keeps jumping to the front. Float is example 3.5924, whereas an integer equals 9. That's the easiest definition. So float mx equals new float num. Alright, and the num is the same. So if we were to we could declare a new variable here, and int num1 equals num times 0.1, for example. That should work, actually. Let's see if it does. Let's declare our new float. Put that in there, and let's see if it works. Around unexpected identifier. Now right there, that's where it is. Unexpected identifier is when I forgot my semicolons. Got to check for those semicolons. Alright, let's see if there's any difference. None that I can determine, although hard to say. My is num1. That's okay. So if we change this, let's bump it up, say 0.4, and stop, and then run. Alright, oh, in fact it's looks like it's much shorter. So let's try num times 14. Run. It looks a lot smaller, but it's hard to tell. Let's bump that up to 100. See if anything changes. Stop. Run. Yeah, okay, so it's a lot larger now, and you can see that there's a bit of a trail. But did my int num1 change anything? I don't know. But that's the part of the process, is learning, modifying some of the variables. Again, there aren't very many processing really lacks user input tools, but that's part of it. Thanks for watching, and go play with processing and create pretty pictures. And if you're any good at this stuff, you should be writing educational applications and publishing them. Open source, way to go. Thank you, and happy computing.